Okay. Uh, Once again, I would like to say good morning to each one of you and best wishes for the day. And I welcome you all to this online interactive session on the topic, an overview of e-learning. So before I continue my presentation, I just wanted to say a few words about this as a background information, and then we shall formally discuss on this topic, and I can accept any of the questions for clarification, and we shall have a very fruitful discussion on this topic. Now let me begin the session with a very meaningful and a powerful quote. The greatest pleasure in life is doing what people say you cannot do. I think this statement is holds good in each and every activity we do in our day-to-day life. I mean to say, the greatest pleasure in life is doing what people say you cannot do. When people say you cannot do this, and when we do it and when we achieve it, definitely we get the greatest pleasure. And I hope and I wish that each one of you have experienced that pleasure in your life already, and hope that you will experience such a greatest pleasure in your life in the near future as well. So with this, now let me brief about the content I would like to share with you today in this morning session for the next 2 hours. First, I would like to give you a brief introduction on the topic e-learning, and then types of e-learning, importance of e-learning, characteristics of e-learning, e-learning methods, ADDIE process, e-learning tools in companies, future of e-learning, e-learning SWOT analysis, summary and conclusion, followed by references. So this is how I planned the content for this presentation for the next 2 hours. I try my level best to cover all the points to the maximum extent possible, so that each one of you can better understand the concept of e-learning and the technology behind e-learning. So I just wanted to address the basic questions related to e-learning, such as what is e-learning, why e-learning, and how e-learning. So if you are able to answer satisfactorily these 3 questions, and I think we'll be able to understand better the entire framework of e-learning process. So to begin with, I just wanted to give some general information. Of course, I have included some general information as well in my presentation. The first thing is, this e-learning is not new to us. I mean to say, we are already quite familiar with this e-learning because of advancements in technology, and that too in the year 2019 because of COVID-19. We, the teachers, have to inevitably adopt the technology in order to overcome the problems which we are facing. That means physical classes because of pandemic, and it was right no, as per the government, and also of course from the point of view of the health issues, we had to go with a virtual way of delivering things to the students. Starts from the primary education and up to the higher education. The government has given the orders that somehow we need to engage the classes online by adopting the technology. And that's where all of us have started thinking of the technology and how the technology can be used to deliver the things. Because till that point, these kind of virtual classes, online classes were used only by the corporate people for discussion, because the clients will be in other countries, the service providers will be in India, and the technocrats will be in India, and they need to interact with the stakeholders, and this was the only way for them to interact with the stakeholders satisfactorily and get their clarifications or queries or whatever the issues they have, and they try to address those issues in online mode only. And that was the scenario before 2019. And because of this COVID-19, all the even in the education sector, we wanted to make use of the technology, and that's how all of us have learned the technology. And also we understand the importance of virtual classes and online classes and e-learning to the depth, because the concept of e-learning was familiar to each one of us in the in the beginning itself. I mean to say, it's not new to us because of the smartphones. So once the smartphones have been introduced and the internet has become very cheap and it was affordable, so from that day onwards, all of us became quite familiar with the technology and also the recent trends in the education sector. And that's the reason why all of us are very much addicted to the mobile, because it offers many advantages, right? Because it has in fact revolutionized our lifestyle. And today we found that without a smartphone or a mobile, it's very difficult for us to manage our day-to-day activities. To that extent, we have become very much addicted to this technology. And of course, it's inevitable as well. But it is up to our consciousness that when to use this and when not to use this. So with that consciousness, if we use the technology and particularly the smartphones and other things, and definitely we can do wonders in our day-to-day activities. And also we can make our activities very easy and simple, right? Because today with the technology, with a mouse click, we can do a lot of things. I think we have already witnessed it. So maybe one of the examples could be digital payments. So we are very comfortable with the digital payments, because earlier when we go outside either to purchase vegetables or milk, or if you go to a hotel, or if you want to travel by a bus, so in each such instances we need to keep the changes with us to meet our requirement. And if you don't have changes, then we found it very inconvenient to handle that particular situation, right? But today, because of the technology, because of the digital payment concept, we are very comfortable that even if you want to purchase a vegetable just for 10 rupees, you need not worry. Even that person will have a QR code, and that QR code is attached with the account. Scan the QR code and pay the money. Even if it is 10 rupees 50 paisa, nothing to worry. You can just pay it, and that's how the technology has changed our day-to-day activities, right? So with this example, what I wanted to convey is we are already familiar with the technology, and we have been in turn into this e-learning process. Okay, so now with these simple observations, and of course there are many as such we have already experienced, but I just wanted to take you all in a very formal way of understanding what is this e-learning and how this e-learning helps particularly the teachers for in order to improve our professional, right, life, and also our academic life, and how can we enhance our academic life knowledge, and how can we give a good directions to our students. So there are many advantages, right? That is a self-improvement. At the same time, being the teachers, how can we motivate our students? How can we provide the best, right, information to the students, and how can we make them to learn better and apply the concepts in reality? So all these things will become very easy and possible with the support of technology under the framework of e-learning. So with this background, I would like to give you formally the definition of e-learning, the types of e-learning, and many other aspects related to e-learning. So with this, let me go through the points here. We live in a knowledge-based economy that is characterized by advancements in technology, globalization, intensive competition, and rapid changes in customer needs. To be able to consistently grow, cope with these changes, and stay ahead of the game, the workforce must keep itself constantly updated with new concepts, skills, and technology. So here now, irrespective of the discipline, right? So the teachers are from literature background, that's a Kannada, English, Sanskrit, Hindi. And also the teachers are from mathematics and also physics and education and many other disciplines. It doesn't mean that only the technical people have to use the technology and adopt the skills, right? So irrespective of that, each and every teacher can acquire the skills and use the technology and learn the new concepts. And with the new concept, we can always be ahead and we can get updated with the recent technology and the trends, and that is become very inevitable for us, and that becomes an indispensable component of our day-to-day life. If we don't get updated with the technology, then we will become obsolete, right? So that is the reason why, irrespective of the domain, irrespective of the different sectors in the society, each and everyone must get updated with the technology. And with the technology, we can understand the concept better and we can get the skills, and with that, we can make our life simple in our day-to-day life, right? And that's what we have seen in almost all sectors in today's era, or information technology era, right? So that means nothing is permanent except change. We have to adapt the change and we have to go ahead with the change, and that is the only way for us to make our life simple and smooth. So with this background information, now let me define what is learning. Okay, so because all of us are into the learning process, a teacher is always a student. If at all you want to take classes, and if the concept is new, until and unless we study, understand ourselves, we will not be getting the confidence to face the students and answer the questions what they are going to ask in the class. So a teacher is always a student, right? Whether the student studies and learn the things or not, but a teacher, before getting into the class, we have to learn that particular concept, understand, analyze, and then we also have to think how this concept can be realized, how these ideas can be applied in solving a real life, right? So to that extent, we have to make preparation ourselves as the teachers, and then we can interact with the students. So the learning is the process or experience of gaining knowledge or a skill, right? So many times we have assessed ourselves when we started our profession as the teachers, and when we faced the first class, right, how we were, and after a few years of experience, what is our confidence? What is the depth of our knowledge? How can we handle the classes? So the experience is the better teacher. right? We can learn most of the things through experience, right? So a learning is the process or experience of gaining knowledge or a skill, and which is very much important for each and everybody, irrespective of the profession or irrespective of the sector and the domain. Okay, so it is the relatively permanent change in a person's knowledge or behavior due to experience. So when we acquire more and more knowledge and we get more and more skill, and definitely you can expect a kind of change in the behavior, right? And that behavior will define our quality of our life, and also that defines the personality of a person, right? So many times we call a self-discipline. So we can get that self-discipline with an experience of gaining a knowledge and a skill, and with that I think we can showcase our personality in the society, right? So that's what is the learning. So to put it in a very precise way, this is the definition the experts have given. It is a process that leads to change which occurs as a result of experience and increases the potential of improved performance and future learning. Okay, I can just draw your attention, which you have already experienced in day-to-day life. When we started learning the driving for the first time, how was our driving experience? So definitely it was not that good. But once we get an experience, definitely we have observed the improved performance, right? That means when you started driving your car, so definitely your car would not have given you a good mileage. Even though the company says that your car will give 80 kilometers per liter, the four-wheeler, because of poor driving experience, right? Because most of the times you change the gear, you put the brake, you use the clutch, right? So it was not smooth, and because of that, the performance of the engine was quite less. And because of that, right, even the mileage was also very low, and instead of 18 kilometers per liter, we would get only 12 kilometers per liter, and the driving was not smooth. We could not handle handle the smooth movement when there is a hump, when there is a traffic, right? But over a period of time, when we get a more and more experience, right, a richer experience, when we get a practice, then definitely we can handle all the situations, right? And that definitely enhances the performance in our activity. So the same thing is true even in a teaching profession as well. When you get more and more knowledge, in-depth knowledge on a particular subject or a concept, the way of delivering the content to the student will also change, because at that moment of time you get a better example, right? And you can relate your day-to-day examples with the concept, and you can make the students learn better the concepts, right? Because many times only the text will not enable the students to imagine the scenario, right? So we have to narrate the scenario with a realistic example, or relate the concept with a realistic example, and then we can make the students better understand the whole idea and how it can be realized, and what knowledge we can get out of it, and how that knowledge can be applied in solving a real life problem, right? That's what is an improved performance and the future learning, right? So a learning is a process that leads to change which occurs as a result of experience and increases the potential of improved performance and the future learning. Okay, so all of us, I'm sure that we know this definition, right? Because we are teachers, we know this, right? But I just wanted to recollect it, right? So I think you can see even the image, right, which enable us to understand what exactly is the learning in today's era, that is with the technology, right? You can see here, there is a teacher who is delivering a lecture at one place, and the audience are widespread. I think that today's session is the best example which reflects this scenario, because you are at your institutions and some of you are attending from your residence. I am sitting in HRDC center, I am delivering, and each one of us are connected to each other. Whatever I am delivering, right, you are going to receive it and you are going to reciprocate accordingly. And that is what is the technology we are living today, right? And we have to make use of this technology for better learning right? And to get a better knowledge. So there are many other advantages which I would like to cover up in my subsequent slides. So with this, now let's come to the types of learning. Right, I don't think this is new to you because you might have already heard about these things. Because when I looked at the content designed for this orientation program, I understand that the content what has been defined for this orientation program has already covered these topics as well. And other experts might have already defined and discussed few of these points in your earlier sessions as well, right? But no problem. But I would like to review those things. If it is a repetition, nothing to worry. You please just go into the depth and try to understand in a different way and in a different dimension. Okay. So let me, for the sake of continuity and completeness, I would like to give some simple definitions, right, to understand better the e-learning and e-learning process. So the digital learning. So it's a type of modern learning option which includes a combination of e-learning, online learning, and blended learning along with offline digital learning. So any form of learning which uses the technology and electronic media is referred to as a digital learning. So today, most of us, because of our smartphones, we use a digital material for learning. Okay, you might have downloaded a research article in your subject, or you want to know answers to some of the questions, right, which may be difficult for you to find just by searching through your textbooks. So today there are many social media. Say for example, LinkedIn is there, and also ResearchGate is there, and many other social medias are there. And if you have any doubts in your subject or in your domain, you can just post that question, and the community means the people who are in the same community, and the community in the sense there may be the people of the experts from literature, experts from technology, experts from mathematics, experts from social sciences or life sciences. So they all have formed a community, right? And that's what I mean, the teaching community. Right, so those people will take your question and they can answer immediately. How it is possible, right? I call it as a digital learning. You need not search for such an answer in the textbook, which takes more of your time. Suppose in case if you have any question and you want a clarification, you can, if you are a member of such a social websites like LinkedIn, ResearchGate, or any other community, you can just post the question and the experts will answer your question. Maybe within a next moment of time, you will get answer to your question. So this is one of the forms of learning, and I call it as a digital learning, right? So even we can organize the material in our mobile, because even today mobile will act as a laptop. You can keep many types of material with your mobile, and wherever you go, definitely you carry your mobile. And whenever there is a time, okay, you can use your mobile and you can read subjects of your interest, right, in a digital form, and you can get the experience and the knowledge out of that idea and the concept. So this is what is called a digital learning. It is a modern type of learning option which include the combination of e-learning, online learning, and blended learning along with offline digital learning. So in continuation to this, I would like to define what exactly is the e-learning. Of course, synonymously, we use e-learning, online learning, right? Synonymously. So of course, we can accept that as well, but in certain context, we can make it very specific that it's a e-learning, online learning, and etc. Right? Okay. So e-learning means a type of learning where internet technologies are used to deliver a broad array of solutions that enhance knowledge and performance. The students and the teacher interact online in this type of learning. So the today's session could be considered as one of the techniques in e-learning. Okay, so I being a tutor here, I'm interacting with you, I'm delivering some content to you, and you are going to listen to it, and you can even interact with me to clarify certain things, right? So that's how the students and the teacher interact online in this type of learning. So in a new education policy, there is an option that the students can earn 40% of the credits in online mode itself. Okay, so for example, they want to learn the subjects which are not offered in the institution where they are studying. Okay, for example, a student from literature want to learn the subject which is not offered in University of Mysore, but it is offered in other university, not only in Karnataka, even in other outside Karnataka, not only in India, even outside India as well. Okay, so the student can register for such courses and they can formally attend the classes online and complete the assignments what the particular university or institution or the teacher responsible for that course is the person is going to give. So the student has to complete assignments and he must have subjected to the assessment, and with all those formalities, that particular institute or the teacher is going to award a grade to such a student in that particular course, and that grade or credit can be used for a formal assessment in a regular degree. And that is one of the factors or the features in a new education policy. And in fact, the University of Mysore has already been adopted such such a process, the parameter in the new in the education system, right? So this is what the information I just wanted to convey to each one of you, because you are already hope you are familiar because of NEP, and also because you might have heard about the concept of open electives and also the MOOCs. Maybe in some other sessions the experts have already explained about the MOOCs, massive open online courses, and its importance, how beneficial it is both for students and also for the teachers, right? Many those issues might have already been discussed with you in the other sessions as well. So now let us come to another type of learning we call it a blended learning. So it's a kind of virtual learning which combines the traditional learning of face-to-face interactions of the teacher with online instructions of a remote teacher through a video conferencing tool like Microsoft and Easy Talks, Cloud Meeting, and etc. So now the government of India and also the government of Karnataka Higher Education Ministry is encouraging the institutions to go with a blended learning. Because if at all we want to cover the topics in a regular offline classes, may be very difficult for us to cover the entire content or the syllabus within the stipulated time. Maybe there are many reasons, right? So because of holidays or because of some other reasons, we may not be able to cover the entire content or the depth what it really expects in a regular sessions. If that is the case, how can I make my subject and my sessions more effective and more fruitful? Definitely, we can think of using a blended learning. Okay, so in our regular physical sessions, we can explain the concepts, and in the online mode or in the form of digital learning or in online mode, we can interact with the students. Okay, and we can have a face-to-face interactions in online mode itself, and we can understand the students, the progress, and we can even assess the students, and also we can give right instruction to the students to understand the concept better and to solve some of the problems related to the subject and the domain. And this is what is called the blended learning, right? And even today, even in the corporate sector also, this kind of blended learning concept has been very well explored. So today, because of after the pandemic, almost all corporate companies have insisted their employees to stay at home, that is work from home. Okay, work from home, and once in a week, maybe one day in a week or 2 days in a week, they just go to their company and interact with their managers and interact with the stakeholders and get the requirements, fine-tune requirements, and if any issues, right, and try to address those issues in their I mean at work from home, right? So that's how the corporate companies are functioning today. Okay, so blended learning, even we can adopt this blended learning in our education institutions, right? It is not that we have to teach our students only in the physical mode. Okay, so maybe if it's a subject like a mathematics, we can derive some equations and we can explain those concepts in the class in a physical mode, and we can give some assignments to the students and let the students do it and report in online itself. Okay, and if there are any doubts, let's have a online classes, interact with the students, clarify their doubts, right? And that's how we can adopt the offline as well as online, and we call it as a blended learning, right? Even many of you are into research. Your supervisor will be somewhere in other university, but you are working in one institution. So definitely, because you are working for an institution, it may be difficult for you to meet your supervisor every day. Maybe once in a week, once in 15 days, you want to interact with your supervisor, or as and when required, maybe you want to discuss with your supervisor how you can do it. So definitely, whatever the progress you have made with your research, you can plan it, you can organize the content, and you can plan your presentation, and you can interact with your supervisor in online mode and explain what research progress you have made, what analysis you have done, with all the examples and the observations and the reports. You can interact with the your supervisor, and get the suggestion from the supervisor or a guidance from the supervisor, and you can continue your research in the direction. And this is what is called a blended learning. For a teachers, definitely for the teachers who are in the research process, so definitely we use this blended learning. So we can interact with our supervisors, we can interact with our peers, means the people who are working in a similar domain, right? The research scholars or the teachers and etc. So they can get into this blended learning mode, and there will be face-to-face interactions and also offline interactions and online interactions. So with all that, we can make learning much more effective and also productive. So with this, online learning can be described as a combination of blended learning and e-learning, and the key element for these types of learning is the internet, which we are already familiar. So with this, if at all I want to put it a very simple way to remember it. So at the top we have a digital learning, which covers all these types of learning. Any learning that happens in electronic mode or in digital, right, system, and we call it as a digital learning. So this covers online learning, blended learning, and also e-learning, right? That's blended learning and e-learning are put together, can be called as an online learning. And in addition to that, there is a other offline digital learning as well. So today, almost all libraries have been upgraded from a traditional mode to an electronic mode, right? If you go to Indian Institute of Science, or if you go to IITs, right? So you can access any material of your interest just by typing the keyword. Okay. So even for the researchers, if at all you want to get a paper on the related topic of your research, you can type a keyword in a Google and you can get the papers downloaded, right? So all these are the examples of offline digital learning. So with this simple definitions of what exactly is the learning and the types of learning, now I would like to answer the question, why e-learning? So definitely, though we are quite familiar, formally we need to understand why e-learning. So there are many and different types of opinions. Somebody says that it is not the correct way of learning. Okay. So, for example, the students will not have control over it because it's in a distance mode, right? How can students learn in offline mode? Sorry, in online mode? And also because of there is no face-to-face interaction with the students and the teacher, the learning is not that effective. So many people will have such type of opinion on this kind of learning. But definitely there may be some issues, and it's all because of the implementation difficulties or lack of implementation. But apart from that, definitely this type of learning is also very effective, that you might have already experienced, right? So there are two great equalizers in life. One is the internet and education. By combining the two, e-learning will be the great equalizer in the next century. By eliminating the barriers of time, distance, and socio-economic status, individuals can now take charge of their own lifelong learning. Okay, now let's consider these parameters, that the time. Okay, so many times in our regular working hours 10 to 5. So we expect the students to be in the institution or in the campus from 10 to 5. That is the timing. After that 5 o'clock, so we are not involved in teaching in the classes. Okay, because our time is from 10 to 5. Suppose if for some class of people, means the working class, because the people have to work somewhere and then they have to learn. So definitely this regular mode of learning may be very difficult for them because of the parameter of time, because they are engaged in some other activity, because they have to earn their food by doing some work, and because of that they cannot manage with the time, and because of that they are not able to attend the regular classes or in the institutions what we are right now witnessing. And because of that they did not get an opportunity to learn the way we have learned already in our high school days or in our higher education. So the time is one factor, and now we can overcome that barrier with the help of e-learning, because the learning happens anytime, right? It doesn't matter. Suppose if you don't get a sleep, you can get up in the midnight and you can just use your smartphone and you can start reading something and learning something, right? Because many times when we have some serious doubts or the questions, and if suddenly want to find answer to those questions, even if it's a midnight, it doesn't matter. You can just get up and you have your smartphone, you have your internet connectivity, you can just pose the question, search for the information, right, in the Google, and get the doubts clarified. So that is what is called learning. Learning happens at any time. Okay, so in the day the people are engaged in their regular activity because they have to earn their food and they have to work for their cup of tea. So after the working hours they can spend some time for learning. So there are many many instances where the people have risen to a higher level because of this, right? So the time, the distance, and also socio-economic status. So here, even the socio-economic status will not stop you learning any advanced concepts, right? So there is no restriction that no, this person has to study only this, right? And he is not permitted to study this, etc. Nothing like that. Because of this internet, because of this today's education system, anybody can learn anything. You are free to learn anything. Okay, there is no restriction at all, there is no barrier at all. So time is not an issue, distance is not an issue, and also socio-economic status is not an issue, right? It doesn't matter whether you are a middle class family person or a low class family person or high class family person. It doesn't matter, because the education and the internet never differentiates people like that, right? Okay, even you can listen to a lecture delivered by a so-called a highly profile, right, institution, right, or a person with a high profile. It doesn't matter, okay, because you are attending classes online. The distance doesn't matter. So the time, distance, and socio-economic status will never come into the picture in today's learning technology, right? Because we have internet and an education, and this eliminates the barriers of time, distance, and socio-economic status, right? And now individuals can take charge of their own lifelong learning. You can learn anytime, anywhere, right? Okay, so that's what is said by John Chambers, CEO of Cisco Systems. So with this e-learning, what are the benefits? So that is expands opportunity of education, right? So we can provide opportunity for each and every person, means to study something of their interest. So expands opportunity of education. We can provide education to each and everyone if we successfully and effectively implement this e-learning concept in our education sector. And expands quality of learning. Even the quality of learning can also be expanded, right? Because many times we see that some students are going to a semi-residential schools or high-profile schools where they have to pay 2 lakhs per month, right? Or some students are going to a government schools where they are not paying even a single NP, right? So then we normally have a feel that these students have studied in government schools and they don't have a knowledge, but these students have studied in a convents or high-profile schools or institutions. They have a knowledge, and that's what they in our current education system. But if we successfully and effectively and efficiently implement this e-learning concepts in education sector and the system, so definitely we can provide a quality of learning for each and everyone, because the content design will never differentiate the people depending upon the socioeconomic status. Whatever the content delivered to the class of students, right, that will be same for everyone, right? The quality of teaching, right? If there is an expert who delivers a particular course or a subject, then whatever the quality he has incorporated in his teaching material, and that will reach each and everybody who is attending that particular class. So that's what is called the quality of learning. In addition to that, right, so with the support of technology, we can provide a high quality learning with simulations, because most of the times we can't understand with our general with a text or a traditional way of delivering things, right? It's very difficult for us to convey the things. And also imagine, suppose if we are able to simulate it and if you visualize, then the kids can learn better, right? Because many times we understand that fact. If I just write a text and if I just explain that text to the students, most of the times the students will just by heart it, and without knowing the inner meaning of that, they simply deliver it, they write it in the examination and they get the marks. And this is just a marks oriented, without understanding what is the meaning of the text, without understanding its inner concept and the meaning, simply biting it and reproducing it, and that will not serve the purpose, right? Education means if you have learned something, how can I apply that knowledge in solving a real life problem? Okay, so that's what is the knowledge, and that is the quality of learning actually, right? So most of the time what we do is we just deliver the things and we just show it in the text. Okay, so and then we say, okay, the kids has learned it because the kid has read it and reproduced it as it is. But what is very much important is in the quality of learning, what is the concept that has been learned and how that concept can be realized and can be used in a real life scenario to solve some problem. And that's how, with the support of e-learning, I think you will see with some more slides in our coming slides, you will see some information regarding this. Okay, so it expands the quality of learning, increases the delivery of learning, and also improves the efficiency of teaching. Okay, because you will plan in advance what need to be delivered, and you will spend some time to organize the entire content, and you will plan properly with the supportive examples and simulations and many things as such, visualizations. In fact, with all that, you can make your teaching and learning more qualitative and also more efficient, right? So you can just observe in a simple way. Okay, so you ask a kid to read 1 or 2 pages of text, okay, and ask the kid what the kid has understood with that text. At the same time, you just convert that text into some audio or a video, right, and allow the kid to watch that audio and video and again interact with the kid. What the kid has learned out of that visualization means a short movie, right? Or a simulation or a audio, right? So definitely the visualization is very effective in terms of learning rather than a simple text. So that's how with the help of e-learning, we will be able to provide such kind of visualization in terms of simulations so that we can make the kids better understand the concept. And that's what I mean, the quality of learning, delivery of learning, and efficiency of teaching. All these things are possible with the support of e-learning, and that is with the support of technology. So with this, I simply mention some of the points for the sake of continuity. E-learning can be as effective as traditional training at a lower cost. Okay, so definitely we can accept this. With a lower cost, we can provide as effective as traditional training, even in online mode or with e-learning. So e-learning reaches a wider target audience by engaging learners who have difficulty attending conventional classroom training. Okay, so because the conventional classroom training requires a travel and time to travel and many other constraints and the barriers, and with the support of e-learning, because the audience can sit at their place and attend the classes online, so it is and means the e-learning reaches a wider target audience by engaging learners who have difficulty attending conventional classroom training. I think it is very much evident because you already experienced it and you are quite familiar with this. So delivery costs for e-learning are considerably lower than those for classroom facilities, instructor time, participant travel, and job time lost to attend the classroom sessions. So even now, many universities, reputed university like BITS and even Indian Institute of Science and many other institutions are offering online virtual courses for the students, particularly for the working class people, right? Because you might have seen that your kid has already joined a company after their bachelor degree, after BE. But you want your kid to study further, means he has to acquire higher qualification like a MTech or even the higher degree like a PhD and postdoctoral degree in abroad universities. Because your kid cannot leave the job, but still he want to pursue a higher degree. How it can become possible? Definitely it is possible through online programs, and that happens through e-learning. So that's how the delivery costs for e-learning are considerably lower than those for classroom facilities, and that involves instructor time, participants travel, job time lost to attend the classroom sessions. So there are many such advantages with e-learning. So e-learning can offer effective instructional methods such as practicing with associated feedback. So whenever you are using this online mode of learning or e-learning, so there is a provision for us to assess ourselves. Okay, I think you might have already seen that once you have learned a particular concept in the online portal itself, they will ask some questions to test your level of understanding with that particular concept. So you just start answering the questions. So when you answer the particular question, immediately it will tell you whether your answer is correct or not. Okay, if your answer is correct, then you can assess yourself that you have understood the concept very well. If the answer is wrong, somewhere you can understand yourself that where you went wrong. So you can practice with associated feedback. Okay, you will learn the concept, you will subject yourself for assessment in the next moment itself. And if you understand that you have not learned properly, again you can spend some more time to learn it properly. And if you have learned properly by answering all the questions correctly, then you have assessed yourself, yes, you have learned satisfactorily, and that is okay. Then I think somewhere you can declare yourself that you have learned that subject or that concept very clearly, and you are confident with that. So that's what practicing with associated feedback is possible with e-learning. Combining collaboration activities with the self-paced study, right? So combining collaboration activity with self-paced study. So because when it comes to study, some people can spend more time and they can learn more within a stipulated time. And for some students or for some professionals, they cannot find much time to study because of other reasons, because they are engaged in other work, right? They cannot spend more time on full-time basis, but they can spend a part of their time in a day and they can learn the things in a small incremental way. That is what is called self-paced study. So we can have a collaboration activity with self-paced study and we can learn incrementally, right? So that's how in education policy, in new education policy, and also in a current CBCS mode of education, the higher education or the University of Mysore has given a provision for students to take double the duration now. A student can take one semester completely, one blank semester, and he can continue in the next semester, right? And in one particular semester, if the institution offers like 6 subjects, right, a student need not learn all the 6 subjects. So depending upon his convenience and time, he can opt for only 3 subjects or only 2 subjects or only 4 subjects. So depending upon his or her time and learning ability, a student can choose the number of subjects for study in one semester and he can successfully complete, right? So that is the reason, instead of completing the course in 2 years, a student can go for 4 years. That is the double the duration norm. Okay, so that's how even in online mode or e-learning mode also, we can have a collaboration activity with the self-paced study. How much time we can spend to study a particular subject of interest, and it all depends on our available time and our capability in understanding that particular concept, right? So that's how it is possible with e-learning to define that. So personalizing learning paths based on learner needs and using simulation and games. Okay, I already mentioned with visualization, with gamification, with simulation of games, right? So we can personalize learning paths based on the learner's needs. Okay, so here why mobile has gained a lot of attention and why we have addicted to mobile, the reason is it is very, very personalized. Suppose if at all you are watching a TV, everybody has to watch the same channel, because in a home, if there are 6 or 7 people, including parents and also kids, the parents want to watch serial and you want to watch news and your kids want to watch Tom and Jerry and other Cartoon Network. But TV cannot provide all the the different channels in at one time. But with the mobile, for example, if your parents are using their own mobiles and you are using your own mobiles, and if the kids are permitted to use their mobiles, and everything is personalized. Okay, the parents can watch the serial, you can watch news, and your kids can watch the Cartoon Network. So that's where the mobile revolutionized our lifestyle, right? Okay, so that's what is called the personal learning path based on the learner needs, because some students learn in a slow phase, right? Because their grasping ability is not that good, or their background may not be sufficient enough to understand some advanced concepts, because they have not learned those concepts or the basic concepts or the fundamental concepts in the previous education system. So because of that, they want to spend more time and they want to repeat, and that's how it is possible with the e-learning, a personal learning paths based on the learner needs and using simulation and games. Okay, so that's how all learners receive the same quality of instruction, because there is no dependence on a specific instructor, right? So there is a material, anybody can access to that material, and you can learn depending upon your interest, and you can use that material any number of times until and unless you are very confident with that particular concept and also the content, right? So that's how with e-learning we can provide all these things to the students. I mean, the students who want to learn, whether he is a student or is a teacher or is a researcher, whoever he is, I generally call it as a learner. A student is also a learner, a teacher is also a learner, a researcher is also a learner, right? Whoever wants to learn something new, we call as a learner. So the e-learning platform or a framework enables each such learner to customize according to his needs and learn comfortably as and when he or she desires. So that's what is all about the e-learning. Of course, there are many other points which I would like to cover in subsequent slides. Now let's concentrate on the characteristics of e-learning. So I just wanted to give you some information regarding this. So of course, I hope that many of these points are already familiar to you. Okay, but still I want to give you some more information regarding the characteristics of e-learning. So when it comes to e-learning, there is a content and a collaboration and sharing. There is a delivery method. There's an administration, a link to resources, and learners control. So all these components are put together that defines the characteristics of e-learning. Okay, so even you can start your own YouTube channel. I think you might have seen many YouTube channels where the teachers and entrepreneurs and many people have started their own YouTube channel and they're delivering content to the audience, right? So even the government has insisted the teachers to start such kind of courses depending upon your interest, right? And even the UGC will give a kind of fund to start such kind of courses, right? So that's how we need some information regarding the characteristics of e-learning. Okay, so what is the content? When it comes to the content, the e-learning includes the text, video, graphics, and sound. Okay, so whenever we are watching any any lecture with a YouTube, you might have seen all these types of multimedia content. Okay, so there will be a text displayed along with the video, and there will be a graphics to support that text, and also there is a sound, a background sound. It's as good as we are watching a movie, because when we are watching a movie, there will be a subtitle, there will be a dialogue, there will be an action, right? And any other supportive content. With all that, it makes the content much more richer so that it reaches the learners or the audience. Okay, so that is the strength or the characteristics of the e-learning platform and the framework. So in terms of content, it is very rich because it is a multimedia content, that is a text, video, graphics, and sound. All of them are included in a content, and that's how it becomes more and more effective for the learner to understand the concept much better than a traditional learning. Okay, that's the first point. And the second thing is the collaboration and sharing, right? I already mentioned what is meant by collaboration. So communities of practice, because there are many people who are into the same domain. For example, if you are doing a research on a particular topic, there are many people across the country who are doing research on the same topic. Okay, so if that is the case, then you can collaborate with them and you can interact with them, right? For example, if you are teaching economics and if you are teaching marketing or a financial accountancy, okay, so there are many other people across the state in other institutions who have richer experience than you, and you want to interact with them, you want to collaborate with them, and you have some doubts to be clarified, you can interact with them, and that's what is called the community of practice, right? So it is possible for us with the technology that we can form such a community of practice, we can interact and we can share our experience and the knowledge and clarify our doubts, and that's how we can learn the things much better and we can become more confident, right? So that's what community of practice. And the peers means the people who are learning in a similar level, right, in a similar subject as such, and other trainees, experts, mentors, and advisors, all of them will be there in the collaboration and sharing with all the support. It's a teamwork, and we can learn the concept much better, and we can try to apply that knowledge, what we have acquired in solving a real life problem, and that's how we can enhance our skill. So that's what is called collaboration and sharing sharing, and that is possible with e-learning platform and the framework. And another, the delivery, of course, through internet or intranet and web and distance learning and CD-ROM. So these are the different ways of delivering the content in e-learning platform or a framework. And another aspect is called the administration, that enrollment, monitoring, and progress assessment, everything can happen even in online mode itself. Because whenever we have registered for online courses or a distance education in some other universities, so definitely there will be an administration factor, right, or a module where we have to enroll, and the students or learners need to be monitored and their progress need to be assessed. Everything is done in online mode only. So this also a part of e-learning platform and the framework. And another is a link to resources, other training materials, other web-based training, link to electronic performance support systems. Okay, so it is not that only the content that has been prepared by an instructor which is delivered to the learner, right? So apart from the content, even the instructor can include additional reference material or the links which the learner can refer and follow and get more in-depth knowledge on the subject of interest. Okay, and that is possible with e-learning platform because we have other training materials with the subject which we are delivering to the learner, and other web-based training which are related to the subject of your delivery, and linked to electronic performance support systems. Okay, apart from this, there is also other mechanisms wherein the learner can subject himself or herself to assess the performance, right? So that's how all these things are possible with e-learning platform. So with this, there is a learner control is also there, right? These are the supportive factors for e-learning platform. So as far as the learner is concerned, learner centric, there is a practice, pacing, feedback, content, and accessibility. The practice means the learner can practice anytime, anywhere, without any such barriers and any number of times. Okay, so practice. For example, if some students found it difficult to understand some mathematical subjects or accountancy, such students can practice any number of times, right? But in a traditional classrooms, it's not possible. The teacher comes for 1 hour, delivers the content to all the class, to the entire class, and after the class hours is over, the teacher will leave the class, right? So, but here, sometimes a student may not find time to interact with the teacher at that moment and can learn, right? But it is not the case in case of e-learning platform. So the kid can practice any number of times until and unless the kid gets confidence with the subject, right? Or convinced with the subject, right? That's what the practice and the pacing. The pacing means how much the kid can learn, depending upon the intelligent quotient or a practice, whatever you call, right? Grasping power, etc., the capability. So incrementally, the kid can learn, right? So maybe in one session, the kid can read 1 page and better understand and get some knowledge and the skill out of it. Next day, another page, etc. Right? It is not that a kid has to learn 1 chapter in 1 session. It's not like that. So whenever a kid found that this subject is easy, in that case, the kid can learn entire chapter in 1 session. In case if the subject seems to be a little difficult, then the kid can learn only incrementally, only a little bit about the concept and learn, and then in the next day, the kids can spend some more time to learn the remaining subject, right? So that's how the pacing is also possible with e-learning platform. The feedback, I already mentioned that. Suppose whenever you want to assess yourself that whether you have learned properly or not, and whether you have done correctly or not. Okay, so through simulations, whatever the knowledge you have acquired, you try to evaluate that with a feedback mechanism, and with that feedback mechanism, you will get a clear feedback whether you have learned the subject correctly or not. It could be through simulations, or it could be through questionnaires, or it could be any other form of assessment. Okay, so you will be subjected yourself with a feedback mechanism, right? Okay, so that's also possible. And then the content, of course, a content is presented, as we already mentioned, text, video, graphics, and sound, which makes you better understand the idea and the concept. And also accessibility, everybody can access, right? Because it is in the form of a digital library. Whenever you want, wherever you want, anytime you want, you can access to such a library of information. Okay, so that's how when it comes to a learner, the learner has a control over all these parameters: the practice, phase, feedback, content, and accessibility. Right. So these are some of the very important characteristics of e-learning platform. And if we understand this, and definitely we can make a much difference in our way of learning with the technology and with the support of all the modern tools and the techniques. So with this understanding, maybe I can just spend another 5 minutes, and then I will give you a break of 30 minutes as suggested by Nagendraswamy sir. And again, I will continue sharp at 12 o'clock, right? I think we have to continue up to 10:15, and then we have to give 30 minutes break. Then we have to start at 11:45, and then we can go up to 1 o'clock. Okay. Okay. So I spent some time for this slide so that we can understand e-learning culture, and rest of the things I will continue in the after the break. Okay. So now, when it comes to building an e-learning culture, now it has become inevitable for each and every educational institution that somehow we have to adopt this e-learning culture. Okay, otherwise it's very difficult for any education institution to survive, whether it is a government institution or a private institution or a higher education institution. The institution has to inculcate the knowledge of technology and e-learning culture in the institution, right? So that's how. Now look at here, building an e-learning culture. So the role of teacher, the role of administrator, and the role of learner. So as a teacher, develop knowledge and skills. So whenever we are delivering a lecture or handling a particular course in for a students, so then definitely we need to get a sound knowledge and skills in that particular subject. It may be physics or chemistry or mathematics or history, economics, commerce, whatever it may be. Okay, so as a teacher, we want to acquire such a knowledge and a skill. And if we are offering a course in online mode, or if we are going to use e-learning platform to deliver a content to the audience, then definitely as a teacher, we need to develop knowledge and skills, right? And we need to adopt the technology. And through technology, we can deliver the things to the audience or the learners. Understand learning and its need, and facilitate learning, create learning opportunities. So in the framework of e-learning, with the support of technology, we being teachers, we should understand these things, and accordingly we have to engage in the learning process, or to transfer the knowledge to the learners. Okay, so develop knowledge and skills, understand learning at its need, facilitate learning, create learning opportunities. So with an administrator, create learning environment. Okay, so I think this is the best example, because the university has the HRDC, Human Resource Development Center, HRDC, has given an opportunity for each one of us to meet here and discuss on some subject and get some knowledge out of it. Okay, I am here a resource person, you are a teacher, and in some other context you will be the resource persons, I will be a participant, right? It doesn't matter. Okay, so what is very much important in transferring knowledge, that's what is very much important. Okay, so here the HRDC center or university acts as an administrator, right? So it creates a learning environment. So what we are witnessing today, provide a ICT infrastructure. So because the university provides all the required infrastructure facility, where we have an internet facility and we have a system, okay, and we can use the tools to deliver the content. So that's how it provides ICT infrastructure, resources for lifelong learning. Okay, even in a university setup, we have in a library, we have many applications and repositories where a learner can access to it at any number of times and anywhere, anytime. Okay, so that's how as administrator, the university supports all these things, and that's what is the administrator in an institution. And the learner is a self-directed, self-motivated, self-regulating, and lifelong learning, and nobody will be there. So that's what we need, a self-discipline as a learner, whether it's a student or a teacher or a researcher or whoever he is, technocrat, whoever he is, he must be self-directed. We should know what we need to learn, what is very much important, and why we want to learn that. Okay, so we should be self-directed and self-motivated and self-regulating. There should not be any deviation. We should regulate ourselves, what to learn, what not to learn, right? And what is the scope and what is the track. So everything needs to be understood and regulating ourselves, and it's a lifelong learning. As I already mentioned in the beginning itself, that a teacher has to learn always, right? He is always a student. Okay, so it's a lifelong learning, and that's very much important in one or the other way. It is not that only a curriculum what we are learning in an higher education institution, right? Apart from that, everyday learning happens in our day-to-day life. Okay, that's how we can make use of the technology and e-learning platform for such a thing, and that's what is called lifelong learning. So building an e-learning culture involves these three important parameters, right? Are the components: the teacher, administrator, and the learner. So they all put together with the technology, with all the supportive tools, we can build an e-learning culture, right? So I stop at this point and I will continue after 30 minutes. So sharp at 11:45. Okay, so we shall meet after the break. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.